Pre-Algebra Lesson 81, Multiplication and Division of Signed Numbers. So this lesson is going to rely on our lesson on opposites, where we learned that if we have something like negative 6, those two negatives will make a positive, right? And I think I mentioned it back in that lesson, that's a multiplication rule. So what we see here is whenever we're multiplying a negative times a negative, we get a positive. And this will also translate to a problem like this. If we have negative 3 times negative 6, here we have two negatives, and when we multiply them, we will get a positive answer. So what we do here in this case is we would multiply the whole number, so 3 times 6 would be 18, and then we would see negative times negative gives me a positive. So the answer will be positive 18. Right? Now this also works for division, and I'm going to display the division as a fraction. So let's say I've got 3 over 6, and they're both negative. What happens here is the two negatives cancel, and my answer will just be 3 over 6, which reduces to 1/2. Right? Or we could do a bigger division problem, and we could do something like, we'll do negative 64 over negative 8. Okay? So what happens again here is the two negatives cancel, making a positive, so negative divided by negative, and 8 goes into 64 8 times, so the answer will just be positive 8. Okay? Oops, I never boxed that one. All right. Now some of you may be wondering, what if there's a only one negative, right? So let's say we had a multiplication problem like negative 3. That doesn't look very good at all. Let's say we have negative 3 times positive 6. Well, since there's only one negative, our odd number of negatives rule comes into play. So negative 3 times positive 6 will give us a negative 18 because there's an odd number of negatives. Okay, and same thing with a fraction. Let's say we had negative 64 over positive 8. Well, there's only one negative, so that answer would just be negative 8. And fractions are also kind of funny, because let's say we had positive 64 over negative 8. Well, that would still give us a final answer of negative 8, right? Let's see here. Ooh, what if it was a fraction like this? So let's say we've got negative 3 over over positive 6. Okay, some of you may be wondering, like, hey, where do I put the negative in this case? So the way you would put your negative on your final answer is it would just be in front of the fraction. So that would just be written as negative 1/2 when we finish dividing. You could put negative 1 over 2, but if it's a fraction and it's your final answer, it's better to move the negative out in front of the fraction, right? And that also works even if it's on the denominator. So let's say we had 3 over negative 6, that would still equal negative 1 over 2. I could put 1 over negative 2, but in the end, it would still be better to simplify it like this. Okay, so again, the rule still applies. If we have an odd number of negatives, we get a negative answer. If we have an even number of negatives, we get a positive answer. And that is that. If you guys have any questions, let me know on Moodle, and I will see you in class.